The Show presents Comicast 338 with your host Pablo Gunner, and I am burnt to hell because I stayed out in the sun reading comics yesterday for hours on end with no sunscreen because I am an idiot because I had done it 2 weeks earlier and thought I would be completely fine. But that's not why I'm here to talk to you about that. I'm here to talk nerdy to you about this week's comics, which is May 16th. I'm going to review them, and I'm going to be giving away the digital codes for them. Now, not all of them have digital codes, unfortunately. I wish DC did it with all of them, but they do have it for a few. And this should be a short one because I think there's only about 13, 15 books this week. And like I said, there's quite a few that don't really have codes and stuff. So yeah, and then, but I will give those codes away. And that's, oh yeah, timer, a minute. Keep me, so that's why it shouldn't be that long. It'll probably go on longer because I'm just a chatty Cathy when it comes to comics, nerdy stuff. So yeah, that is that. That's how that goes, so, and I don't really have any nerdy news that I care to mention or talk about, so I'm just gonna, spoiler alert, spoilers abound, so there's that too, and I think that's really it before I get started. Like I said, 1 minute timer. That's about it. And yeah. So I'm going to jump into these comics, starting with Superman Special number 1. It is $4.99. It's Escape from Dinosaur Island. We have the creative team on this. They did it before this story. Peter J. Tomasi, Patrick Gleason as a writer, Scott Godlowski as the artist, Gabe El-Taib as colorist, and Rob Lay as letterer. And so we have Superboy, and he's like, yeah, we need to go back to Monster Island or whatever, Dinosaur Island, and save that guy and bring that guy back, and they're like, yeah, you're right. They leave a note for Lois. They go, and now they have this ship, and they can, they can go into other dimensions pretty easily. They go, and this guy's on the run fighting these dinosaurs, but he's like, I want some meat, and he's at this cliff, and he's like, ah, crap, I guess this is the end. They get teleported, and they get teleported inside of this T-Rex, which is a messy situation, and then they're like, hey, let's go, and he's like, all right, yeah, you know what, I'm done with this place, but there's like some zombie stuff going on, which is weird. These animals, they're like turning into these weird zombie creatures, all his dead fellow soldiers and stuff, and like into these zombie creatures, and he's actually turning into one himself because he got bit on the leg and stuff, but he has something to go get before he leaves, and so he does that, and then it's just him acclimating to the world and stuff like that. And there's actually another story with Superman and Atomic something other, where he's working for some enforcement thing, and yeah, it was good. It looks really great. It's phenomenal. It's really interesting. I liked it a lot. It was really solid. All of them are really good. I felt like it probably would have been better just sticking with the Dinosaur Island stuff and then making it like $1 cheaper without the other story. Now, the other story is great. It just, if it was like a compilation of stories, it would make sense, but it wasn't a compilation. It was just those 2 stories, and I was like, it don't really fit, but whatever. It was still good. So I will give it a strong buy, but because of that, I'm not going to give it a contender. I will give the digital code away. DC for Detective Comics, 817, M for Moxie, Q for Quentin, X for X-Ray, 2, K for Kill, Y for Yellow, and K for Kill. Now I'm going to get into some Marvel with X-Men Wedding Special number 1 we have here. and it is Chris Claremont writing this thing. And well, he does the first one. It's called The Dream Before. It's Chris Claremont, Todd Knock, and Rochelle Rosenberg. Then the second story is Boys Night Out by Mark Guggenheim as a writer, Greg Land as the artist, Jay Leeson as the inker, and then Jason Keith as the color artist. And then Something Old, which is the last story, and that's written by Kelly Thompson, artist Marika Cresta, and then color artist Federico Blee. And so this one is Kitty Pryde. This first one is Kitty Pryde, and she's just talking about like where she's from, her past, her history, her being stuck inside that giant metal space bullet and stuff, and just like her training with Wolverine and all these different things, and how she went to school. She's from Chicago, which then had me reading her in like a very Chicago accent, kind of like the SNL skit where they're like, "Da Bears," you know, but like a chick. And I was like, that would be so great. This looks perfect. I love Todd Knox's art, especially for Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler's done so well, so perfectly. It got a little weird because these ghosts show up, but it was very touching. Then you have Boys Night Out, and that is there's this demon casino in Vegas, and they go to it, and for the bachelor party. And so, Peter doesn't, Colossus, he doesn't really want to do anything about it. He doesn't really want to be there because he's like, I just want to be with Kitty, how he is. And he's like, I do not want to be here. Going to a strip club, to dance club, And then we have Nightcrawler, and he's like, my God, why can't you have a good time with us? And it's a good time, and they get into a scrap with this demon and stuff that just got fired. And then the last story is Kitty and the ladies take her to Stripperoke, and then which is exactly what it sounds like. And then I think Callisto kidnaps her and takes her underground, is like, if you break his heart, I'm gonna freaking kill you, And then so it's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. I don't know, it's weird because of the timing of this. We haven't gotten the next issue of X-Men Gold, and because I don't know what's happening in the next one. So I was just like, okay, this is a weirdly like, where do I place this? But they're all great stories and they're enjoyable and I like them a lot. So I have to give it a strong buy and a contender as well. It was fantastic. So, you know what? Here's the digital code anyways. L for Logan, B for Blake, Q for Quasar, U for Ultron, E for Echo, Z for Zarbon 1, B for Blake, K for Kilgore, P for Peter 1, U for Ultron. Did I read this book? I don't know if I read this book. The new Challengers #1. It's a DC comic. It's Scott Schneider and Aaron Gillespie as writers, then Andy Kubert as pencils, Klaus Janson as inks, Brett Anderson as colors, Darren Benet as letters. But you see like this dude all in bandages. They're flying into this storm and this plane. He's like, keep going. And he throws the dude out and he's like, I'll finish it myself. And then he has this thing and he just jumps out of the plane. Then you see these people and they're falling and they're going through this portal and none of them know who they are, but they're all like talking crap to each other, like, who are you? Why did you bring me here? What's going on and stuff. And yeah. And then they're like, oh, we need to figure out why we're here. And then these like alien creatures attack. And I'm not even sure if I read this because I was like, I don't know what the F is going on. It did a better job than like the Immortal Men though, than introducing characters, because there was like, they jumped in and okay, it looks all right. It's kind of interesting. I don't even know if I finished it, honestly. So whatever. If I read it and I don't remember it, that's a bad sign. And if I didn't finish reading it, that's also a bad sign, because I know I was reading it and then was like, I'm bored or I give up. This is whatever. So those are both bad. Like I said, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look super great either. I'm not like in love with it. It's pretty dark for the most part. I wouldn't even give it like, I would give it like maybe a skim, and that's it. Yeah. So I'm gonna jump into Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Avengers #2. It is still avenging after all these years by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. Inkers Mark Morales and Jay Leeson. Color artist David Curiel. Letter Corey Petit. And so this one is interesting because they have somebody who is narrating, and it's in green, and it's also in like a certain lettering that I go, this, I think this is Loki. And then the way that they're talking, they're like, I'm the one that brought the Avengers together, you know, and like all these things and stuff. And it's talking about, oh yeah, there wouldn't be an Avengers without me, and blah, blah, blah. And it's showing like, you know, oh, something old, something new, you know, all this stuff, you know, because we have Ghost Rider, we have the original 3, you have Captain Marvel, you have Black Panther, you have Doctor Strange and stuff, you have She-Hulk, and so not Black Panther, but yeah, you have Ghost Rider and She-Hulk actually get into a fight. Well, She-Hulk goes green because these creatures show up and they attack her. They're trying to attack this giant, like, celestial, eternal thing. The main 3, they're getting their freaking butts whooped. And yeah, I mean, the art is ridiculous and over the top and crazy and amazing and looks cool. And Carol Danvers is fantastic. And they really just, you know, eventually Ghost Rider and She-Hulk are like, yeah, we're fighting the wrong people because these things attack them and stuff. But yeah, that person reveals themselves at the end and is like, I'm the greatest Avenger who ever lived. So I am interested to see, like, I'm before I was like, oh, whatever, you know, it's these giant celestials, you know, and it's just another big thing. And I'm like, okay, this person's involved. I'm intrigued, you know. So I'll give it a strong buy and a contender. I like these new additions, Ghost Rider. I mean, there's always been a Hulk, but it's now She-Hulk, Captain Marvel. There really wasn't any Ghost Rider, or I mean, not Ghost Rider, Black Panther, or Doctor Strange. Like, they showed them, but they didn't have anything going on with them. Not that there was much for them to do, but still. I'll give it. I give it a strong buy. I give it a strong buy. Here's a digital code. F for Familia, Z for Zora, M for Marcos, E for Iluterio, J for Josefina, F for Familia 1, L for Lupita, N for Novela, F for Familia 4, M for Marcos. Now on to Justice League No Justice #2 of 4. The last one had a digital code. I didn't know that. And then this one did not have a digital code because I checked. But yeah, it is Scott Schneider, James Tynion IV, and Josh Williamson as writers, Francis Manipool and Marcus Toe as artists, Hi-Fi as colors. And so we have Green Arrow, and he's tracked down Amanda Waller in the snow and is like, hey, what the F did you do? What's going on? We're all the heroes. You know, I know you did this. What's going on with this? And we need to fix it. And she's like, it's not me. It's someone else. I think they're like, it's Brainiac, and I'm the only one that's coming here to fix this. They're like, fine, we'll work together. Then these teams are starting to realize like why they were put together. There's all these, oh, well, Brainiac put us in this team, and there's Team Wisdom and Team this and that. And they're like, all right, well, we're great with destruction, so we should destroy. You know, we're great at wisdom, so we should do, you know, we should wisen up and figure out what to do with this situation, you know. But it is weird how like certain heroes are in stasis. Like you have Aquaman in stasis. Not Danny Moonstar. Who's the Wonder Woman? Like not knockoff, but isn't she like a clone or something like that? Deanna Troi. Nightwing, you know, other characters and stuff. And you're like, okay, that's weird. Why would Brainiac do that? But these teams slowly start to work together. This one is very strong in the spreads. And so I would strongly suggest that like apps nowadays are better made then like why read it digitally? And it's not a, it's not optimal for reading, viewing, and it's really small, so it's really hard to read and get into, and so there's a lot of spreads like that. um I'm still interested, but like there's a lot of pages that I just could not read because the lettering was so small. And that's not bad on lettering, and that's not bad because they made it a spread. I'm just saying that it's better to get it physically than it is to get it digitally, and that's the best way to do it when it comes to this book. Like I said, I think that the digital services, they work like you can move around to like the word boxes, but it's still not gonna be the same. So that's why I strongly suggest you get it physically, this series at least. But it's great. It's really interesting. It's building up. I like it a lot, and I'm going to keep on reading it. So I give it a strong buy and a contender. It looks phenomenal, and it's really interesting. I have X-Men Red number 4, and this is Tom Taylor's writer, Mahmoud Asrar as the artist, Rain Beredo as colorist, Crepetit as the letterer, and we have Storm, and she is attacking the X-Men. She has something in her head that's telling her to attack to kill mutants and stuff, and somebody put that in her head. And so at first they try to deal with her, and this guy, Gentle, he takes the brunt of her lightning bolt, which is really hardcore and awesome. And they're like, all right, we need to just knock her out. So they knock her out, and they go into her brain, like it's an image of her brain. And then they actually do go into her brain. Jean Grey does, with the help of this girl and Black Panther and stuff. And they do that. And then they go to Namor for help, and they're like, we need somewhere where we don't want to put Wakanda at risk anymore. We need to go somewhere else. And he's like, there's this abandoned place. You guys can stay here. They have these suits, and they're like, yeah, these suits are going to protect us from these nanites that get in your brain. They're like hate nanites and stuff. And then this person starts implanting these nanites into government officials' heads. So it's pretty crazy. And I was like, right away, I was like, oh man, I love the way Kurt looks. Well, I mean, he looks scary. And I like it. That's why I love Todd Knock, is because he's colorful, but he looks so friendly. And that's the thing, is like, even though he looks like a demon, he should always look like happy and warm and gentle and loving. That's the kind of person that he is. And that's how I like him to look in this. He looks scruffy and dark and brooding, and even the way he's written, I don't feel like he's as lighthearted as he should be. Even though it, is a dark situation they're dealing with. I love the suits, though. The suits are really cool, and it's legit. Even the Namor, because I'm doing a Namor cosplay for Phoenix Comic Fest, and I'm like, oh man, I kind of want to do this now, but this one would be kind of hard to do. It would be kind of a pain to do. So Gabby's always great as the comedic relief and stuff. Yeah, so it's really solid. It's interesting how this series now finally definitely feels like it has some gravity to it, like the overall world and how it affects everything. It's great. Strong buy and a contender for sure. I'll give the digital code away. Anyways, T for Tomahawk 3-4, Z for Zabrak 2, J for Jacapo 5-5-6, Y for Yank, S for Super 1. I have also read Harley Loves Joker number 2. It's just a 2-issue mini series. I'm not sure if it's like something that they never finished, in the Batman animated series, but it's very in that vein. And so Paul Dini is the writer. Brett Blevins is the artist. Alex Sinclair is colors. Dave Sharp is letters. Anyways, they're doing this heist. Harley is spaced out because she's inside her own head. There's Harleen Quinzel is the psychologist for Harley, and inside her head, and that's what she's spacing out about while they're on this heist mission. And so they're trying to get onto this boat, to steal. Batman shows up, and Harley's like, oh, you know what? I'll destroy the boat, so Batman has to go save him. Well, then Batman shoots his harpoon through their boat, so they have to go with him, and Joker's like, you idiot, And so Grissom, she tears up the boat and gets the thing loose. They go back to the place, and they have the loot and stuff, and I don't know. It's like, I just hate how Joker is to her. Like, he's just such an awful person to her, to Harley. And he's like, yeah, you're like fawning over here. And he's like, kind of like you over me. And she's like, yeah, that's messed up. Anyway, she comes with this plan that has this gun. And even Harley's like, yeah, that doesn't sound like a very Joker plan, or thing. It sounds like a more Mad Hatter. And she's like, well, fine. This one's great because she is Portuguese. So I throw in like a Spanish, Hispanic accent in there in my head. So everybody has strong separate voices and stuff. But yeah, anyways, so she listens in on this conversation, and Harley actually calls Alfred and tells him the plan because she's not being included in the plan. And then she's like, oh crap, I need to stop them from happening, because then Joker leaves a message for her that's like, this was all a setup. I'm just playing along with Grissom so that to get her vulnerable and trustworthy on our side, and I'm going to screw over in the end because she screwed us on all those jobs. And then it's interesting because the Harleen Quinzel, she changes her outfit and her hair and everything like that to look somewhat like the new Harley. Somewhat, not exactly, not like, she does have like some booty shorts and a little tank top and stuff, and puts her hair in pigtails. They're not different color or anything like that, but yeah. And she's like, screw you, I'm out of here. And I don't know, it's, yeah, and she goes to save Joker and stuff, and it's, yeah, and they make their escape. It's fun. It's a good time. I had a blast. It was an enjoyable read. It was a good time. I give it a strong buy. I give it a contender even, just because it looks so perfect, and it's just like, if you really dig that stuff, then you'll really enjoy it, and so that's what it's all about, that's what it's all about. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for me for now. For this half, it is time for, did I say, yeah, I said a strong buy. So time for a commercial break to talk about one of our sponsors, which is Twin Suns Comics and Games, or Gaming. I'm always like stupid when it comes to that. And Games, yeah, is what it says. They're located at 6301 Riverside Plaza, Northwest, Suite L1, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87120. You can call them at 505-433-9490, or you can go to their website at twinsonscomics.com. They're usually open from 11 to, well, it says 11 to 7 p.m. today, but it's usually to midnight because they have tabletop gaming going on, especially like Friday Night Magic. They got that going on until, like I said, midnight and stuff. A lot of the nights they do. Those guys are great. I was actually BSing with him about Star Wars the other day, and just being like, hey, are you interested in the Solo? And he's like, episode 8 kind of burnt me on Star Wars. So no, I'm not really interested. And then I was like, what about Deadpool 2? And he's like, yeah, I'll check out Deadpool 2. It's not like I'm not going to go see it first night, but I'll, when I have the chance, I'll go see it, and I was like, yeah, same here. I mean, I hope that the Solo is good. I don't think it's going to be good. I think if it's good, it's going to be because of the other cast members. And that's what we talked about, is like, Lando. I think it's going to be Lando's going to steal the show. Daenerys Targaryen, I think she's going to do well. Woody Harrelson, he's going to be great. Chewbacca is going to be cool, as always. This is going to be a young Chewbacca. so to speak. So yeah. But yeah, I'd be those guys are great to talk to about anything comics, not so much video games probably, but like everything that they have there, tabletop gaming, statues, graphic novels, all kinds of stuff. I actually just got a graphic novel from them, and another book that I probably could have read for this, but and done on here, but whatever. Which was Korra Volume 2, Legend of Korra Volume 2. It was the continuation of the Turf Wars. But I did review the first one on this. But anyways, so yeah, I got that from there. Subscribe. You automatically get 15% off. And they know their stuff. They legitimately know their stuff when it comes to tabletop gaming. Like I said, Warhammer, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, all Pokemon, all the stuff, all the cards and stuff like that, and all kinds of things. So, and they are located, like I said, of course, Albuquerque, New Mexico, but they're it's off like Coors and Montano, near there in that shopping center. It's a little more north. It's north of Montano. I think it's actually closer to, I want to say, Ocotillo or something like that. But yeah, so go check them out. It's across behind the Wex there. So yeah, check them out and get all the good stuff. I'm gonna get back into comics with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 22. This is $4.99, and it is 2 stories. One, Lost Causes Part 2, and I saw that and I was like, yes, I so want to see this, because the way that it ended, I was like, oh my gosh. Written by Paul Allure, artist Mark Torres, colors Rhonda Pattison. Dangerous Waters is writer Ross May, artist Chris Johnson, colorist Mark Engelbert, letter is Sean Lee. And so, like I said, this one is Donnie, and he's working out this peace treaty with the Utroms and the Triceratons, and they finally worked it out and stuff and hammered it away. But there's this one, Cleve, and he is setting up to, he wants to destroy this peace treaty that they have and stuff. And so Donnie figures it out, interrogates him, and is like, oh, you're going to destroy the Triceraton. And they're like, no. Not the Triceraton. I'm going to destroy one of the Utroms, because that'll really upset things. And so they find, he's like, well, he got help. And so it's from 2 Triceratons, and we're like, oh, dang, that is messed up that he's using Triceratons. And so they stop him, and he stops him. Cleve does get away and releases somebody because he did unlock all the doors and stuff. And yeah, so that's going to be crazy to find out next. It says the end, but I feel like that's not the end. We'll see if that picks up in the main Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles title or in one of these side stories. And then the other story is Leatherhead, and there's this monster squid in the water that he fights and kills and saves this seal, and they become buddies. And he's like, I'm just going to, this is going to be my new purpose. I'm just going to save cute things, from scary monsters here in the water. I liked it a lot. It was really, really great. It was wonderful. I love the narration and the Donnie story, and the Leatherhead was fine. I mean, I could have just done with just the main, and that's how I kind of feel with a lot of these issues. So I'm like, the main one's better usually, but still really solid. So I can give it a strong buy. Not quite a contender just because of the second story. I didn't feel like it didn't matter to me as much. Okay, and I'm gonna get into Aquaman, Hombre de Agua. Number 36. This is $3.99, and Dan Abnett is the writer. Ricardo Federici is the artist. Sonny Go is the colorist. Steve Wands is the letterer. And you have Aquaman, and he is fighting together with these people. He's finally getting all these people to ally with him to go against and see how much of a monster this guy is. And he does reveal himself as this monster. And so they are like just getting their butts whooped and they are getting destroyed. So I hope that we see Mara and Ocean Master, or at least Ocean Master, come to the aid. Because, like, what's his name is this giant freaking monster creature now. It's pretty terrifying. And it just looks absolutely mind-blowing and phenomenal. So I have to give this one a strong buy for sure. Next is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 27, Shattered Grid. I heard that this was like the last part or piece, but I'm like, that can't be right. I feel like there's only been like 2 issues of this, like this title being Shattered Grid. I know there's been other tie-ins and stuff, but this one alone. Anyways, it's written by Kyle Higgins, illustrated by Daniel D. Nucolo, with ink assist by Simona Di Gianfelice, colors by Walter Baiamante, letters by Ed Dukeshire, and then there's the New Adventures of Blue, Centurion, and Ninjor, written by Ryan Ferrier, illustrated by Bakan, colors by Jeremy Lawson, letters by Jim Campbell. And so you have someone that is undercover. I didn't know who it was, though, because like they're wearing the red Power Ranger armor, and he takes his helmet off and he's like, I'm undercover. And I was like, I don't know who that guy is. He looked kind of Asian, but it turns out that it's actually Skull, and he infiltrated the ranks of Lord Drakon. And he's there to help the Power Rangers. Then there's this other lady, the Time Force Power Ranger, and they're like, how are we going to do this? We can figure things out. They sent out an SOS message, a warning. Actually, Zordon sends out a warning to all the different dimensions, and some of them get back to him and some of them don't. And one of them is the people that's from the Lord Drakon dimension, and they're like, we know how to beat him, contact us and find us and we'll figure this thing out together. And then there's that other lady, and she's like, we found out how to reverse engineer that cannon that takes away our powers, our morphing powers, or our Power Ranger powers, or whatever, that blocks them or messes them up or irritates them. So that was really cool. And then, so he has all these different stones, though, Lord Drakon does, and so he's going to fuse them all together into his own suit, and it's going to be, like, straining on him. And, yeah, it turns out I thought it was going to be a ruse and a setup for those people because I didn't know who it was, so it was cool and it was interesting. And then that extra story was actually kind of cool and kind of interesting. I was like, huh, that's weird. But, yeah, so phenomenal. This is great. Like, you don't have to know anything about the other Power Rangers really to enjoy it. So I give it a strong buy and a contender. Yeah. And next is Green Lanterns number 47, and it is like the same creative team, I think, that we've had going for a little bit. I know it's Tim Seeley as writer, and then Viken Marion as penciler, and then inker Sandu Florea, and then Dene Ribeiro as colors. And so we have it shows just this thing of how Jessica and Simon, how they have to still use the same lantern, how it's kind of embarrassing, and then it goes back to how she is the power ring and stuff, and then like the thing disappeared, the black hole disappeared, and this lady's like, oh yeah, it gave me so much power and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is bad. Constantine's like, this is bad, we need to figure things out, we need to get away, because she's like, yeah, I'm gonna eat everybody. Anyways, she is looking for these people. She's looking for these guys' faces. Jessica is, and that was the whole deal. She has to see their faces, and Simon's like, no, you don't. You don't have to see their faces and stuff. This is more about your friends and stuff like that than it is anything else. That's what's important. You see everybody else got sucked into the thing, the Justice League, so they're going through their own nightmares and stuff. But it's really interesting because they find a way out. Really great, really well done. And even what's her name is like Jessica's like, oh yeah, I did find out their faces, and that's how she was able to get out and save everybody else and stuff. But she's like, I need to go get justice for them. Like, that's not going to ruin me because I know their faces, But they're like, the Green Lantern Corps is like, oh, she has altered her ring through her own sheer will, and so she needs to be dealt with. And that's essentially that. So yeah, very interesting, good stuff. Strong by contender. Next is the last all-new Wolverine, number 35. It is the last one, I believe. It's Tom Taylor as the writer, Ramon Rosanas as the artist, Nolan Woodard as the colorist, Corey Petit as the letterer. And so it ends with, like, it seems like Laura's death, and then it jumps forward, it jumps back, actually, to Maria Hill's death, and Janet, like, controlling this Doombot and stuff, and then they're like, all right, we need to distract Doom, and so you can release the prisoners and stuff, and so that's what they do, is she serves as the distraction, and they go let out the prisoners of all these different people. Now they're older. Doom is, like, so different, but you have Captain America, but I think it's Luke Cage and Jessica Jones's daughter, I think. And then you have other people. You have Mark Morales. What's his name? Spider-Man, Daredevil, Rocket Raccoon, and other people that are captured. They get them out. Thor, even, all these different people. And so they're like, anyways, Doom is like, I'm going to steal your body because you're going to live forever. And then in the process, she's like, yeah, I'm dying, you idiot. So now you're like, we're kind of like stuck together or whatever. And he reverts back to his own body. And she's like, I just killed you, and stuff. And so they break it down, and they're like, now the world's perfect and stuff. And then they're like, we just got the best scientists and everybody out of here. I'm not letting you die, Gabby says to Laura and stuff. So it's like, it says that's it. There's a X-23 #1 next, on sale, 7-Eleven, which is significant. But yeah, so this was great. I like this a lot. It was a great run. This is the end of this run, unfortunately. It is really solid. It's had its ups and downs, but this story arc was really great ending. So strong by and a contender. And here is the digital code: F for Familia, Z for Zorro, M for Marcos, Q for Quintana, W for Huerita, T for Tomas, 28, U for Uganda, V for Villanueva, G for Guillermo, H for Hector. All right. I'm going to get into Batman number 47. It's Tom King as a writer. And then we have Tony S. Daniels art, Tony S. Daniel, Danny Miki, and Sandy Florea as inks, Tomei Murray as color, Clayton Cowles as letters. And so you have a Booster Gold who has gone crazy. He's been captured and chained up in this cave by Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is becoming like this killing machine and is like, you're going to take me. And he's been fixing up Kellex to take him back in time, and is like, you're going to take me back to the time he cleans him up and everything like that. But Booster is just like nutty because he's been like this. And so he tells Kellex to take him before his parents were dead. So now you have there's, some time conundrums going on or whatever, where you have two different Booster, Kellex and Batman's showing up at the same time. And anyways, they get into the fight on the top of the roof while the Waynes are going into the into the alley and stuff. And Bruce is figuring it out, this alternate Bruce, and he ends up blowing his brains out and killing himself. And next is The Wedding and the Joker. It's phenomenal. It is a strong buy. It is a contender. It looks phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's really messed up, and it's really freaking crazy. I give it a strong buy and a contender. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 82. This is $3.99. Story is Kevin Eastman, Bobby Curnow, and Tom Waltz. Script is Tom Waltz. Art, Dave Wachter. Colors, Rhonda Pattison. Letters, Sean Lee. And so this picks up exactly where it left off. You have these little toads, and they attack them, and they're like, this is a joke, and they're laughing at them. And Raph, so they deal with them. They knock them out with these little pressure points or whatever. And then it's crazy because Raph is talking crap to this toad god guy. He pokes him in the stomach, and then he immediately gets sick and just starts puking his guts up. And that, I guess that's part of the powers or effects of this toad deity. Then you see these two guys talking. It is the leader of the Earth whatever protection place, and Baxter Stockman, and he's like, oh well, yeah, you know, if you don't want to tell me how where these creatures went and what you did with them and what's going on, well then maybe you can just go to Gitmo or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I definitely do not want that. Splinter is talking to his tune-in and is like, now's our chance to take over and stuff. The turtles are talking to this guy, and he's like, we need your help. And he's like, all right, well, I'm not going to help you, but there's these doors to all these different gods that will take you. And so if you want to ask their help, feel free. So they make their decision, and they go. You see Rat King up to his no goodness, and you see the person that they chose and everything like that. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be unexpected. It's going to be cool. It's going to be strong buy and a contender. This issue is. So yeah. Now I have Cable number 157. Lonnie Nadler and Zach Thompson are the writers. Herman Peralta is the artist. Jesus Abertov is the colorist. Travis Lanham is the letterer. And so this one you have Cable, and he's like, he seems like kind of like teenage years, and then Nate Gray shows up, and he's like, yeah, he's my half brother, you know. He's from another dimension or whatever. They team up. That monster attacks them. Nate Gray messes that creature up, but then he's like, oh, we're getting out of here, you know, and he's like, no, we got to finish it. And so then they go to this other place somewhere at the end of time where there's other versions of Cable, and they look pretty. One of them's like kind of like all zen and stuff, and then the other one looks like almost completely taken over by the technovirus, and then the other one looks, he just likes a killer, and they're like, one of us is the monster here. And so they're like, how are we going to figure out who it is? We can't use our powers and stuff. They find a way, and they do it, but it turns out that the monster is like actually part of the thing that they're in, and that's what's destroying them and taking them out. And then once again they fight it. Nate Gray's about to destroy it, and then Cable's like, no, you can't, you know. And he's like, oh, that thing's like part of you or something, huh? Like that's why you're being like this. And he's like, you know, whatever, we just need to get away. It's so great. I love it how they intertwine old school comics. This person really did their homework and makes references to those old issues. And I love Nate Gray, so it's cool to have him in here. And just this whole thing is so great how they're throwing it into past and weaving it in. Strong buy and contender. I love this. This is the Cable that I want to see. This is phenomenal. So I'm going to hold on to this digital code. Strong buy contender. Next is The Punisher, 224. Writers, Matthew Rosenberg. Artist, Stefano Landini. Colorist, Lee Lowridge. Corey Petit is the letterer. And so he is back. Punisher is back. He has the War Machine armor, and he's back in New York, and he's taking out villains with the suit. And it's pretty crazy. There's a group that's making a getaway. Then Captain Marvel attacks him, and he fights Captain Marvel for a little while. And he's like, yeah, she's faster than us. She's stronger than us. You know, what are we going to do? There's other heroes that see it and stuff. Daredevil actually gets involved too. And he's like, we're not on the same level anymore. And he's like, you were never on my level. And he's like, yeah, I was. And Hawkeye attacks him because he, you know, knows he sees a weakness in it. He's and shoots in the suit, but it turns out it was just like a tracking device, and now all the heroes are there to confront him. It is freaking awesome. This series is so freaking solid. It's so great. I love the way that it looks and just everything. It's so great. The twists and the turns, like this thing that they've thrown into it. Strong by contender. I love it. It's so great, so interesting. I didn't think, I was like, this is a gimmick. I don't care if it's a gimmick. It's freaking phenomenal and brilliant, just great. So strong by contender. All right. I feel like holding on to this digital code too. Next is Daredevil 602, and Charles Soule's the writer. Mike Henderson is the artist. Matt Mia is the color artist. And yeah, so we have Matt Murdock. He gets a hold of Foggy, and he's like, hey, I need you to be my right-hand man now, and make excuses for me while I go fight the Hand. And he's like, dude, you're the mayor. There's only one mayor. There's other heroes, and they're dealing with it. And there's a little montage they show. And so Blind Spot gets in, and he's beat up and stuff, but they go and they try to help these police that are at these headquarters. And stuff, but they're all gone. Like that's where they had all holed up, but now they're all gone. There's this giant hole through the building, and yeah. So just think of kind of like the movie, or not the movie, the show where there's that giant hole. That's what I'm thinking, and that's kind of what it looks like and stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting. It looks phenomenal. It looks great. Like I said, there's still some parts in this where I'm kind of like, that face looks weird. This is a little odd, but overall this one looked really solid and was even better than the last issue. So I'm going to give this one a strong buy. Yeah. Here's the digital code. F for Fantastic, Z for Zarbon, M for Mega, E for Echo, Z for Zarbon, Z for Zarbon, A for Alpha, 8, 9, N for Nitro, I for Icarus, R for Richter, U for Ultron. Last book of the week, it is Captain America number 702. Mark Waid is the writer, artist Leonardo Romero with Rod Reyes and Howard Chaykin, color artist Jordi Belair with Rod Reyes and Jesus Abartov. And so this one, it starts with like a flashback story to France, 1943. I think it's Agent Carter, and she's like, we need to save Captain America. He's done so much for us, and they're like, oh, well, we can't go out of here because of this thing that's going on. And he's like, she's like, we'll find them, kill them, and then we can get to where we need to go. Then it goes back to New Washington, the 24th century, that previous story. This guy, he goes in this place like, yeah, I was able to get into this place and talk to these people and tell them what's going on, but they all think I'm crazy except for this one crazy dude. And he's like, you need to go back to this place to find Captain America, where they had this final battle, Captain America and the Red Squad, their final battle with the Cosmic Cube and stuff, and they show it, and it's epic. And it kind of reminds me of that fight that they were stuck in Spider-Man, in the Spider-Man show. That's what it reminded me of. And so it was really cool. And so they do find him there, and so he has to run for it, and then he does go in the rubble. He finds the shield, but he also finds the cube, and in the cube is somebody bad. So it's interesting. I don't know where it's going. I bugs me that there's not more Captain America and that I don't know where it's going, but I feel like it's going to get back to Captain America soon, I hope, and that's where it's going to really flourish, So yeah, and strong. I'll give it a strong buy. I want to give it a contender, but I'm just going to settle with a strong buy. Here's the usual code. T for Tomas, N for Familia, 3, F for Familia, R for Rigoberto, F for Familia, 3, H for Hector, U for Humberto. Actually, is that an H? But anyways, it's U for, Ultron, or 9, E for Eleuterio, R for Rigoberto again. So here we are once again. And there's so many great things. There's so many good things. So it's time for me to announce my beat, back and bag, and runner up. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So, but anyways, once again, I still feel like it should be Batman. I'm going to say Batman is my runner up. Like, it's just mind blowing that it was dark and it's messed up, but it's kind of funny at the same time, and it's crazy and insane, and it just looks absolutely superb. But I don't know which one it's going to be. But yeah, for Bebow, it's one of these two books. I'm going to have to go with, oh gosh, this is so difficult for me. I'm going to go with Cable as my back and bag of the week. If you want it, share this, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, and you can get the digital code for it. I'm going to hold on to it. So that's how you get that digital code. But I will go ahead and give away the Punisher code, which is N for Nova, J for Jones, 37, A for Alpha, R for Richter, 2, E for Echo, 9, E for Echo, 1, 7. And that's it. Like I said, you can find all our stuff at TNTMTheShow. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all of it, YouTube. So that's where you go. I got to go, and keep your eyes hungry for comics.